When I was 12 years old, my grandfather sat me down and said, "Someday, you're going to be the president." And I laughed. He then leaned in real close, looked straight into my eyes and said, "No, someday, you will be the president." I didn't laugh the second time. I got it. He saw something in me, real potential, that I had yet to see in myself. My grandfather began to change my lens. I started looking up and around at the world with curiosity. As someone who's been living with his eyes up for 50 plus years now, I see the emerging generation of Gen Zs having a profound impact on our world. So before I begin my talk today, I just want to say, the way my grandfather believed in me, I believe in you. And my desire today is to encourage you to see. My name is TJ Kostecky. I'm a lifelong educator, and I run workshops on leadership training. My purpose in life is helping other people discover and live their purpose in life. But at my core, I'm a soccer coach. And the game of soccer is in my DNA. So I'm going to start by talking about soccer, actually taking a look at a certain soccer player. His name is Leo Messi, Argentina's superstar striker and Inter Miami's MLS MVP. Messi is the best player in the world. But why? It's his vision. Messi sees things that 99% of other players miss. He's always looking around, he's scanning. He takes an astounding 5+ looks every 10 seconds before the ball arrives. So he's able to make that stealth pass in between two defenders to a teammate on goal. Or take a shot from 30 yards out, just inside the left post, away from the fingertips of the goalkeeper. Messi makes it look easy. Trust me, it's not. But looking around and scanning is something that every soccer player can learn how to do. That's why when I first start working with a player, I instruct them, give me up to 5 looks every 10 seconds. And you know what? Most players get 10 to 20% better from day one. I call this vision training. And it's something that I've co-developed for the last 4 decades, and it's helped players around the world. Some pretty good ones, such as US World Cup legends Claudio Reyna and 2-time FIFA World Player of the Year, Carly Lloyd. But at a certain point, I got to thinking, what would 5 looks every 10 seconds look like in the game of life? And I realized the same ideas that happen on the soccer field transfer into life, discovering your full potential and forming meaningful connections with others. This I call vision training for life. And today, I'm going to let you in on a few of the best kept secrets. I recently wrote a book, and in it, it reminds us to live each day with our eyes up and our hearts open. The foundation of my eyes up philosophy is called the 5 Ps. I'm going to give you a short lesson on how to apply that into the game of life. The first and most important one is perception. Wide, bright, and deep. Make sure you're always looking around. In real life, we call it reading the room. Recognizing cues, both nonverbal and verbal. The next is process. Here you're now gathering, abstracting information, such as self-awareness that's done through thorough, thoughtful, daily journaling. Or meeting with a trusted mentor, a wise individual that can confide in you and help you in your journey. The next one is plan. We all know that a thorough action plan is essential for success, but visualization is a huge part of this. You want to see yourself in advance delivering that knockout performance on the playing field or the presentation in the classroom or the boardroom that's going to rock with everyone in the room. Next one is actually perform. For example, let's say you're running a meeting and all of a sudden you received information that's completely contrary to what you had believed. The better you perceive, process, and plan, the easier it will be for you to perform in these high-stakes moments. The fifth and last one is persistence. Think of the 5 Ps as pistons of an engine firing in concert. Some of them are more important than others, and persistence is definitely one. through belief and confidence in yourself and your project, you're likely to have a lot more success. So those are the 5 P's. Your subtle shifts in perspective will help you discover your full potential and form meaningful connections with others. Let me share a couple stories with you to highlight these points. When I first moved to Brooklyn, I lived in a downtown 4th-floor walk-up off of Smith Street and Carroll Gardens. As was customary in those buildings, delivery folks would take the packages and they leave it in a lobby, which was a long lobby on the floor just inside the front door. Now, I didn't know anyone in that building, but I did know their names that were displayed on the mailboxes. So whenever I got home, I'd open the door, look at a package or two, pick it up, walk upstairs, and I'd drop it off in front of the recipient's door. Now, you're probably wondering, why would this guy pick up a stranger's package in New York City and drop it off outside their door? The answer is really simple, because I could. I have 2 free hands and arms. I could take a package, deliver it, where somebody might be coming home later on with their arm full of groceries. This was really simple. This is something I could do, so I did it. About 3-4 months later, I came home from a recruiting trip. I opened the door, take a look, no packages on the floor. I start going upstairs to my 4th-floor walk-up. Guess what? There's a package for me sitting outside my door. How cool was that? About a week or 2 later, I open the door, I look ahead, I see a dad getting ready to walk up the stairs with a little infant son in one arm. On his right hand, he's got his 4-year-old daughter. As he was ready to ascend to the first step, she grabs him with 2 arms and says, "Daddy, Daddy, wait!" And she pulls him down. She says, "I want to pick up a package today and drop it off in front of someone's door." It was such a wow moment. As I imagine the ripple effect of this 4-year-old girl with an open lens and a heart that's open, and how through her life and her kindness, she's going to help make our world a better place. When I was delivering packages, my intent was not to create a culture of kindness in a New York City apartment building. But that's what happened. I did that. Every day, each of us has opportunities to do small acts of kindness that could help make our world a better place and have a ripple effect far greater than we imagined. For instance, seeing the best in others, the best in our partners, the best in our children, the best in our parents, the best in our colleagues, letting them know what it is that you see in them. Could you imagine how better connected we would be and joyful? Let's do it. Let's make a commitment to do that starting today. Around the same time that I moved to Brooklyn, I was searching for a local bodega that I could frequent on a regular basis. And for about a week, I was stopping in different places until I finally found one that was comfortable. Every time I would walk in, the gentleman there, his name was Safe, would make you feel like you were part of his place. I'd go in there 4 or 5 times a week, get my buttered Brooklyn roll, nice and warm, fresh butter, cup of coffee, light, no sugar, by the way. Safe would have it ready for me. We'd engage in conversation about family, my daughters, life, his family. He was a wonderful man. Friday afternoons, he was closed as he and his colleagues were engaged in Muslim prayer. I understood. I accepted and tolerated different religions and customs. So I thought, until 9/11 happened. I'll never forget that day. When throngs of people were walking over the Manhattan Bridge over and over, covered with dust and debris from head to toe, their lives shattered forever. The pushback at that time against the Muslim community was real. And I realized in hindsight, my own otherness toward Muslims was amplified. I'd still go down to the bodega and trade pleasantries with Safe, but now I felt a cultural divide between the two of us. And this sadly went on for a long time. Until one night I was in another part of Brooklyn. I stopped in a bodega to get a bottle of water, engaged in a conversation with a man behind the counter. I found out that he too was from Yemen. My thought went back to Safe. And how can I reconnect with him in a more meaningful way? "Hey, can you teach me a few words in Arabic?" I asked the man. He goes, "Sure, why not?" Okay. How do you say, how are you? Keifa holuk. Keifa holuk, I repeated it. How about thank you? Shukran. And how about God be with you? Allah yubarak fik. Allah yubarak fik, he said. I thanked him, paid for my water. All the way home, I kept repeating it so I could learn those phrases. Next morning, I wake up, I go right to my favorite bodega, and there is safe behind the register. I put in my order. With the deli man, I turned, I look at him, I said, Keifa holuk, safe. Coach, he says to me, laughing, smiling, his eyes lit up, you speak Arabic. Just a few words, I tell him. Deli man gives me my butter roll. Shukran, I say to him. He smiles as well. I pay him for my order. Safe starts laughing. Coach, you are true Yemenite. As I begin walking out, I stop and I turn. Allah yubarak fik. Allah yubarak fik, my friend, I say to him. From that day forward, Safe wouldn't let me pay for anything. I would go into the bodega, put my money down. He would push it back in my lap. It got to a point where I had to wait till there was a line of people. I came around the corner, I threw my money on the counter. I had to run out for him to take my money. That's how much Safe appreciated the connection I made with him, because I chose to learn a couple of words in his language. To see the best in others, we have to see the best in ourselves first. And sometimes we have to expand the best in ourselves. When 9/11 happened, I chose to have my blinders on. I chose to focus on the differences between Muslim and Safe and me, not what we had in common. When I started loosening up my blinders and finally ripped them off and threw them on the ground, I saw the connection we had, the human connection, kindness, generosity, selflessness, and love. And our friendship became meaningful and joyful. Next story hits closest to home here at Bard College. It's about Max Kenner, the founder of the Bard Prison Initiative, and how his confidence and belief led him to change and improve our nation's prison higher educational system. In 1998, Max was an undergraduate student studying social justice when he made the uncomfortable discovery that of the 70,000 men and women in the New York State prison system, 80% were from his hometown, which was New York City, which at that time, only 50% of people made it through to graduation. This sparked Max on a mission to find another way, a better way to recast the lives of the people in prison through the power of higher education, hence the founding of the Bard Prison Initiative, or BPI. It is eye-opening to see men and women in maximum security prisons studying the same curriculum as our Bard students, applying the same amount of discipline and vigor. Several years ago, Bard's BPI debate team took on Harvard University in a debate over should public schools be permitted to deny the undocumented education. Bard's BPI team won. Their victory over Harvard made national headlines, and it changed the narrative of people in prison when given the opportunity and the resources. And the data supports it. The national recidivism rate in this country is 43%, while Bard's graduate is only 4%. Many of the graduates are going back into their communities. They're teaching, they're working in healthcare, they're working in technology, they're making them safer, smarter, and more successful. The recent RAND study found that for every dollar that we invest in BPI, our nation saves $5 in reincarceration costs over 3 years. Why? Because Max Kenner had the confidence, the belief, the vision, and the persistence, the 5th P, to find a better way to recast the lives of people in prison through the power of higher education. Max's courage reminds me of one of my favorite quotes about confidence and belief, and it's this: if you think you can, or you think you can't, you're right. I add a little spin on it at the end. Ready? My spin is, if you think you can, or you think you can't, you're right. Make sure you think you can. Make sure you think you can. Before I leave you with a final story, I'm going to ask you, please close your eyes for me. Everyone here in the room, close your eyes for me. And I want you to think. I want you to think about your own journey, about your own life, your own dreams, what you want to accomplish, your vision. What does it look like? I want you to really deeply think about that. What legacy do you want to leave in this world? With your friends, your children, your coworkers, your family. What's the difference that you want to make? I want you to think about it. When you have something in mind, please nod your head for me so I could see. Thank you over here. Thank you over here. Keep thinking about it, but please open your eyes as you're thinking about your own journey. My final story, it's called the starfish story. Some of you might have heard of it. This is my version of the starfish story. It goes like this. A man was walking along the sea in the South Pacific and it was hot. He was so hot his feet were burning, he had to go into the water to cool them off. As he's walking, he looks and he sees all these starfish that have washed ashore. They're drying, covering the entire sand. He keeps on walking, looks at it, and he sees a girl taking one starfish at a time, and she's throwing them back in the water. As he gets close, he asks her, "Excuse me, what are you doing?" She says, "I'm saving the starfish." He said, "What's the matter with you? You're not going to make a difference. There's hundreds and thousands of starfish here." With that, the girl leans over. She finds the closest one. She picks it up, wades into the water as far as she can, and leans back. And with all her might, she tosses the starfish as far as possible and watches as it disappears in the sea. She then turns and says, "I just made a difference with that one." If anyone ever doubts your journey or your dream, remember, you're the person in this starfish story. Thank you very much.